Back in the 1970s, there were wheel loaders so brutally tough that operators ran them for 30,000 hours without a rebuild. Machines built by companies that no longer exist, swallowed up by mergers, bankruptcies, and corporate greed. These loaders moved more earth, loaded more trucks, and outlasted everything the big brands threw against them. And today, most people have never even heard their names. These are 10 forgotten loaders from the 1970s that absolutely outworked everything on the job site. Number 10. The Hough H100C payloader. Let's start with a machine that practically defined what a wheel loader was supposed to be. The Hough H100C payloader, built by International Harvester's Hough division out of Libertyville, Illinois. Now here's the thing most people don't know. Before Caterpillar dominated the wheel loader market, before Komatsu became a household name, Hough was the brand that contractors trusted with their lives. The company was founded by Frank Hough, who is widely credited as the inventor of the modern rubber-tired front-end loader. Frank Hough built his first loader back in 1939, and by the 1950s, his payloader line was the gold standard on construction sites across North America. International Harvester acquired the Hough company in 1952, and they kept the name because it carried so much weight in the industry. By the time the 1970s rolled around, the H100C was one of the most popular large wheel loaders you could buy. It was powered by a Cummins diesel engine, and it featured a robust powertrain that could handle the punishment of quarry loading, road construction, and stockpile management day after day. What made the H100C special wasn't just raw power. It was the simplicity of the design. Everything was accessible. You could open the hood, reach the engine, change filters, and do routine maintenance without calling in a specialist. Operators loved the visibility from the cab, and mechanics loved the fact that you could actually fix the thing in the field without a truck full of proprietary tools. The H100C was a true workhorse. You'd find them running 12-hour shifts in gravel pits, loading haul trucks in open-pit mines, and clearing land for highway construction. They weren't flashy. They didn't have the most advanced hydraulics or the smoothest ride, but they showed up, they started, and they worked. That's all anyone asked of them. When International Harvester hit financial trouble in the 1980s, the Hough name slowly faded. The construction equipment division was sold to Dresser Industries, which later merged with Komatsu. Today, the Hough name is gone, but old-timers still talk about the H100C like it was a member of the family. Number 9. The Clark Michigan 175. If the Hough was the reliable workhorse, the Clark Michigan 175A was the heavyweight champion, built by Clark Equipment Company's Michigan division. This was one of the largest and most capable wheel loaders of the 1970s. Clark Equipment Company had been building Michigan loaders since the 1950s out of their facilities in Benton Harbor, Michigan. The Michigan brand was synonymous with large-scale earth-moving. These weren't machines you'd see on a small residential job. These were the loaders that fed crushers at limestone quarries, loaded coal at strip mines, and handled overburden at massive earth-moving projects. The 175A was a big machine. It was designed to work with large haul trucks and handle materials that smaller loaders simply couldn't manage. The bucket capacity was substantial, and the machine was built with heavy-duty axles, a reinforced frame, and a drivetrain engineered to handle the constant stress of high production loading. One of the things that set Michigan loaders apart was their Z-bar linkage design, which gave the bucket excellent breakout force. This meant the 175A could dig into hard-packed material, blast rock, and compacted stockpiles with authority. Operators didn't have to baby the machine or make multiple passes. You drove in, filled the bucket, backed out, and dumped. Simple, effective, and fast. Clark Equipment eventually sold the Michigan loader line. It passed through several owners, including Volvo, and the Michigan name disappeared from the market. But during the 1970s, if you were running a large-scale operation and needed a loader that could move serious tonnage, the Clark Michigan 175A was at the top of the list. It was overbuilt, overpowered for its class, and it just refused to quit. Number 8. The Trojan 3000. Now this is a name that even a lot of heavy equipment enthusiasts have never heard. Trojan. Based in Spokane, Washington, Trojan loaders were built for one purpose: to work hard and keep working. The Trojan loader line had a fascinating history. The brand was originally part of Eaton, Yale and Town, the big industrial conglomerate. Later, Trojan became an independent company and continued building loaders under its own name. The Trojan 3000 was one of their most popular models in the 1970s, a mid to large size wheel loader designed for construction, logging, and aggregate operations. What made Trojan loaders special was their no-nonsense engineering philosophy. These machines were designed to be easy to maintain, easy to operate, and incredibly durable. The Pacific Northwest, where Trojan was based, was logging country, and loggers are some of the most demanding equipment operators in the world. They work in mud, rain, extreme cold, and steep terrain. If a machine couldn't handle those conditions, it didn't last. The Trojan 3000 featured a strong structural frame, reliable hydraulics, and a cab designed with operator comfort in mind, at least by 1970 standards. The engine was typically a proven diesel from a major manufacturer, which meant parts were available and mechanics knew how to work on them. In the logging industry, Trojan loaders were used for log deck management, loading log trucks, and clearing landing areas. In construction, they handled everything from backfilling to loading dump trucks. The machines were built in relatively small numbers compared to Caterpillar or John Deere, which is why so few people remember them today. One thing that really set Trojan apart was their relationship with their customers. Because they were a smaller manufacturer, they actually listened to operator feedback and incorporated it into their designs. If a logging contractor said the engine access was too tight, Trojan would redesign the engine compartment on the next model. If an aggregate operator said the bucket needed more capacity, Trojan would work with them to find a solution. That kind of responsiveness is almost impossible to get from a massive global corporation, and it built fierce brand loyalty among Trojan owners. Trojan eventually ceased production in the 1990s, but the machines they built in the 1970s continued working for decades. You can still find old Trojans sitting in yards across the Pacific Northwest, many of them with tens of thousands of hours on the meter, testimony to just how well they were built. Number 7. The Case W36. Case is a name that's been around since 1842, and during the 1970s, J.I. Case Company out of Racine, Wisconsin, was building some of the most underrated wheel loaders in the industry. The W36 was their big production model, and it was a machine that consistently outperformed expectations. The W36 was powered by a Case turbocharged diesel engine. Case built their own engines, which meant the powertrain was designed as one integrated system rather than a patchwork of parts from different manufacturers. It featured an articulated frame, a power-shift transmission, and a Z-bar loader linkage that delivered serious breakout force. This was a machine built for quarry work, road construction, and heavy material handling. One of Case's biggest advantages was their dealer network. They were everywhere across North America. Small towns, big cities, rural crossroads. If your machine broke down on a Friday, you could have parts by Monday morning almost anywhere in the country. For contractors running tight schedules, that kind of support was worth its weight in gold. Operators appreciated the W36 for its ride quality and visibility. For a 1970s machine, it was surprisingly smooth. The cab was reasonably quiet, controls were responsive, and you could work long shifts without feeling destroyed. Mechanics loved it because you didn't need a factory technician to handle repairs. A good mechanic with standard tools could fix just about anything on the machine. Case eventually merged with International Harvester's agricultural division to form Case IH, and the construction side went through corporate reshuffles that led to today's Case construction equipment under CNH Industrial. The W36 disappeared from the lineup, replaced by newer models. But during the 1970s, it was one of the most capable and dependable loaders on any job site, and it deserves far more recognition than it ever received. Number 6. The Terex 7251. Here's one that has a wild corporate history. The Terex 7251 wheel loader was built by the Terex division of General Motors. That's right, General Motors, the car company, once built heavy construction equipment. GM entered the earth-moving equipment business when they acquired the Euclid Road Machinery Company in 1953. Due to antitrust concerns, GM was forced to divest part of Euclid in 1968. They kept some of the product lines and rebranded them under the Terex name. Throughout the 1970s, Terex was a legitimate competitor in the heavy equipment market, producing everything from haul trucks to scrapers to wheel loaders. The 7251 was a solid, well-engineered wheel loader. It featured an articulated frame, a GM diesel engine, and a hydraulic system designed for fast cycle times. The machine was popular with contractors who liked the idea of GM's engineering expertise and manufacturing quality applied to construction equipment. What made the Terex 7251 interesting was the corporate backing. GM had enormous resources for research and development, and some of that engineering prowess filtered down into the Terex equipment line. The machines were well built, with good quality control and access to GM's parts distribution network. However, GM eventually decided that construction equipment wasn't a core part of their business strategy. The Terex division was sold in 1981, and it passed through several corporate owners over the following decades. The Terex name still exists today as a separate company, but it's a very different operation from the GM days. During the 1970s, though, the Terex 7251 was a legitimate contender on any job site. It loaded trucks, moved aggregate, and handled stockpile management with the efficiency and reliability you'd expect from a machine backed by one of the world's largest corporations. Number 5. The Volvo BM LM1641. One of the most impressive loaders of the 1970s didn't come from the American Midwest. It came from Sweden. Volvo BM, Volvo Bolinder Munkel, was Volvo's heavy equipment division, and they were building wheel loaders that were arguably a decade ahead of most American competition. Sweden's core industries, mining, forestry, quarrying, operate in some of the harshest conditions on Earth. Sub-zero temperatures for months, frozen ground, and terrain that destroys lesser machines. Volvo BM built loaders to survive all of it, and that meant everything on the LM1641 was over-engineered from the ground up. The machine featured a Volvo diesel engine, a power-shift transmission, and a load-sensing hydraulic system that was remarkably efficient for its era. The frame was built from high-strength Swedish steel, and the entire machine was designed to keep running in conditions that would leave competitors sitting idle. What really set Volvo BM apart was their focus on the operator. While most American manufacturers still treated the cab as an afterthought, a metal box with a seat, Volvo BM was already thinking about ergonomics, noise reduction, and heating systems that actually worked. That focus on operator comfort translated into less fatigue, longer productive shifts, and happier crews. The LM1641 found its home in European quarries, mining operations, and large construction projects. It also started gaining ground in North America, where contractors discovered that Swedish engineering meant longer machine life, lower maintenance costs, and better operator retention. Volvo BM eventually became Volvo Construction Equipment, now one of the world's largest equipment manufacturers. The LM1641 was one of the machines that built that reputation, proving a European manufacturer could beat the American heavyweights not by being cheaper, but by being smarter, more reliable, and more thoughtful about the people who ran the machines every day. Number 4. The Fiat-Allis FR20. When Fiat Spa of Italy and Allis Chalmers formed their joint venture in 1974, the result was Fiat-Allis, a company that combined Italian engineering with American manufacturing expertise. The FR20 was one of the loaders that came out of this partnership, and it was a genuinely good machine. The FR20 was a mid-size wheel loader designed for the kind of work that most contractors deal with every day: road building, site preparation, utility work, and aggregate handling. It was powered by a Fiat diesel engine and featured a hydrostatic or power shift transmission depending on the configuration. What made Fiat-Allis loaders interesting was the blending of two engineering traditions. Italian equipment design tended to emphasize hydraulic efficiency and compact engineering. American equipment design focused on brute strength and ease of maintenance. The FR20 tried to offer both, and in many ways, it succeeded. The machine was well balanced, offered good visibility from the cab, and had a hydraulic system that responded smoothly to operator inputs. For the average contractor who needed a loader that could handle multiple tasks throughout the day, the FR20 was an excellent choice. Fiat-Allis eventually became Fiat-Hitachi, and then merged into what is now Case New Holland, which produces Case and New Holland branded equipment. The Fiat-Allis name is long gone, but the machines they produced in the 1970s and 1980s earned a solid reputation in the market. The FR20 might not have been the biggest or the most powerful loader on the list, but it was versatile, reliable, and represented a unique moment in equipment history when two great industrial traditions came together to build something new. Number 3. The International Harvester 560 payloader. We already talked about the Hough line, but International Harvester also produced loaders under their own IH branding. The 560 payloader was one of those machines, and it was a staple on construction sites across America during the 1970s. The 560 was a mid-size wheel loader that hit the sweet spot for a lot of operations. It was big enough to handle serious loading work, but not so big that it was impractical for smaller job sites. It was powered by an International Harvester diesel engine. IH made their own engines, which was a significant advantage in terms of parts integration and support. International Harvester was one of the most diversified equipment manufacturers in America during the 1970s. They made trucks, tractors, farm equipment, and construction equipment. This meant they had one of the most extensive dealer and parts networks in the country. If you owned an IH machine, you could get parts and service almost anywhere. The 560 payloader was designed for construction contractors, municipalities, and agricultural operations. It excelled at loading trucks, managing stockpiles, snow removal, and general material handling. The cab was functional, the controls were straightforward, and the machine was built to handle the kind of daily abuse that contractors dish out. What made the 560 particularly beloved was its versatility. With different bucket configurations and attachments, the machine could handle everything from fine grading to heavy loading. It was the kind of machine that a small to mid-size contractor could buy and use for everything. International Harvester's financial collapse in the 1980s, triggered largely by problems in their truck and agricultural divisions, took the construction equipment line down with it. The 560 payloader disappeared along with the rest of the IH construction lineup. But for the contractors who ran them during the 1970s, the 560 was the machine that built their businesses. Number 2. The Kawasaki 85Z. The Kawasaki 85Z tells the story of an entire shift in the global equipment industry. Most people know Kawasaki for motorcycles and jet skis, but Kawasaki Heavy Industries has been building construction equipment since the 1960s. The 85Z was one of the first Japanese loaders to seriously challenge American manufacturers on their home turf. It was a mid to large wheel loader powered by a Cummins diesel engine, a deliberate choice since American operators and mechanics already knew Cummins inside and out. The machine featured a fully articulated frame, a power shift transmission, and a hydraulic system that was noticeably smoother and more precise than most American competitors. What caught contractors off guard was the quality. The fit and finish on the Kawasaki was visibly superior. Weld quality was better, paint was better, hose routing was neater, and the cab was more refined. It was built to Japanese manufacturing standards, meaning tighter tolerances and more rigorous quality control than what was typical in American factories at the time. That quality translated directly into reliability. Fewer oil leaks, fewer hydraulic problems, fewer electrical issues. The machines simply worked, day after day, without the constant fiddling that some competitors required. The total cost of ownership won over skeptics fast. Kawasaki loaders lasted longer between major service intervals, consumed less fuel relative to output, and held up remarkably well over high-hour operation. Kawasaki never achieved the market dominance of Caterpillar or Komatsu in North America, but they carved out a fiercely loyal following among contractors who valued quality above brand tradition. The 85Z proved that the Japanese approach to manufacturing, precision, continuous improvement, and relentless quality control worked just as well on a 40,000-pound wheel loader as it did on a motorcycle engine. That lesson changed the entire equipment industry forever. Number 1, the Letourneau SL40. And the number 1 forgotten loader from the 1970s is the machine that was arguably the most extreme of them all, the Letourneau SL40. Built by R.G. Letourneau Inc., later known as Marathon Letourneau. This machine represented the absolute pinnacle of wheel loader engineering. R.G. Letourneau was a legend in the earth-moving industry. Robert Gilmore Letourneau was an inventor and industrialist who held hundreds of patents for earth-moving equipment. His company, based in Longview, Texas, built some of the largest and most innovative machines ever created. Letourneau pioneered the use of electric wheel drive in off-highway equipment, a technology that is still used in massive mining loaders today. The SL40 was one of Letourneau's large wheel loaders from the 1970s, and it was a beast. The machine used Letourneau's signature electric drive system, where a diesel engine powered a generator, which in turn powered electric motors at each wheel. This system eliminated the need for a conventional mechanical transmission, drive shafts and differentials. It was simpler in some ways, incredibly powerful, and gave the machine excellent traction because each wheel could be independently driven. The electric drive technology gave Letourneau loaders a significant advantage in terms of power delivery and reliability. There were fewer mechanical components to wear out, and the electric motors provided smooth, consistent power across the entire speed range. For high-production mining applications where the loader was running at full capacity all day long, this was a game-changer. The SL40 was designed for large-scale mining and quarry operations. The bucket capacity was enormous, and the machine could load the biggest haul trucks of the era in just a few passes. The electric drive system also made the machine easier to maintain in some respects because there was no complex transmission to rebuild. If you learned something new in this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever operated one of these old machines? Which forgotten loader from the 1970s is your favorite? I'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, stay safe and keep moving dirt.